take a little look at least some basic fundamental calculations for how to determine how much insecticide or fungicide or nematicide or whatever it is that you're going to need based on a label rate. And so the first thing to understand is how much can you treat? So we're going to assume for all calculations that we have a 500-gallon tank. And you'll notice that we may have more than what we can apply because we have to apply this at a certain rate of liquid or water or solution per acre. So the first thing that we need to determine is how many acres can we treat with one tank. So we have a 500-gallon tank. We're going to assume a 500-gallon tank for all calculations. We have a 500-gallon tank. We know that we can deliver 15 gallons per acre. So 1 acre delivers 15 gallons. If we do the quick math, that's just 500 divided by 15. Our gallons are going to cancel out, and we're left with acres per tank. Acres per tank. So when we do 500 divided by 13, we have 33 acres per tank. Next, how many tanks are we going to need per field? So we have 120 acres in the field. We know that one tank will deliver about 33 acres worth of solution. So 120 divided by 33, that's actually a repeating value because when we do this math, that 3 just continues to repeat. But just for the sake of basic general math, we know that we're going to need about 3.6 tanks per field. Next, the rate is 4 fluid ounces per acre. So we know that there are 120 acres in a field. We have 4 fluid ounces per acre. That's 120 times 4. So 480 fluid ounces for the whole entire field. Also, notice that if we know that in one tank we need 33 acres, we would just multiply the 33 times the 4, which is going to be what, like 132 fluid ounces per tank. So once we know that we need 480 fluid ounces per field, 480 ounces per field, we know that in 1 gallon, there are 128 fluid ounces. So 480 divided by 128 gives us 3.75 gallons per field. That's how much we need to purchase in order to apply this insecticide. We'll give everyone a little bit of time to catch up there. If not, you can pause the video. All right, for scenario 2, we've got 80 acres at 1 pint per acre. So we know that overall we're going to need 80 pints. Our sprayer is going to apply 20 gallons. And ultimately, we're trying to figure out how many 1 gallon containers we need to purchase for this fungicide application. So first, how many acres can we treat per tank? 500 divided by 20. We can treat 25 acres with 1 tank. Next, how many tanks will we need per field? And so we know that we have 80 acres and 25 acres per tank. So 80 divided by 25 gives us about 3.2 tanks. Next, how many pints do we need per tank? And so we know that if we can get 25 acres in one tank and 1 pint per acre, well, then the math is pretty simple. 25 acres times 1 pint per acre gives us 25 pints per tank. How many pints do we need total for this application? All right, we're actually going to convert that from pints to gallons. So we know we need 25 pints per tank and 3.2 pints per field. So we know that overall we need 80 pints per field. And we determined that from the beginning, right? We knew that we were going to need 80 pints. 80 acres, 1 pint per acre, you need 80 pints. They don't sell them in pint, and you wouldn't want to buy 80 of them. You want to buy this in bulk. So we have 80 pints per field. In 1 gallon, there are 8 pints. So 80 divided by 8 gives us 10 gallons per field. For our final one, we know we have 200 acres at 2 quarts per acre. Somewhere we're going to need 400 quarts. So first we want to determine how many acres we can treat with 1 tank. $500-gallon tank, 1 acre delivers 25 gallons. 500 divided by 25 gives us 20 acres per tank. Now, how many tanks will we need per field? We know we have 200 acres. 1 tank can cover 20 acres. So 200 divided by 20 is 10 tanks per field. We know that we're going to have to go back and forth and fill up 10 times. Next, how many quarts will you need per tank? We know that we get 20 acres per tank, 2 quarts per acre. 20 times 2 means 40 quarts per tank. Let's convert quarts to gallons. We have 40 quarts per tank times 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. And we know that we need 10 tanks per field. I just did this all the way across instead of making this a 2-step like I did here. Okay, that's all I did. No big deal. Multiply across the top. 40 times 10 divided by 4. So 400 divided by 4 gives us 100 gallons per field. Next, they come in 2.5-gallon containers. So how many containers do we need? 100 gallons. 1 container is 2.5 gallons. So 100 divided by 2.5 means we need 40 containers per field. And now I know that you're probably going to be able to do the math in your head or on your calculator and just go straight across. And I can too. One of the most challenging things I've ever had to do was to sit down and slow myself down to put this type of formula and this type of explanation out on a piece of paper. Because if you just do the math and you just write down 40 quarts, no one knows where you got that number from. We actually had this happen in that someone left a sticky note in the lab and they just did some basic math. There was a couple of numbers on there, 1 division and a multiplication, and the answer came out to be whatever it came out to be. But we had no clue how that how that person like ultimately got to that number because they could do that in their head. So it's not that this is for those who can do it, which is you, is that eventually you're going to have to give this to someone who can't do it. Ultimately, you will be a teacher and you will need to use this in order to help others understand where they came up with the value. And so that's why I put this out there in the long format. And I want you to at least be able to understand that long format and show your units because they're important. Where does it cancel out? How do you flip the numbers? How do you come up with the question that is being asked? Acres per tank. Acres per tank.